Hi everyone, so my name is Nicolas Brousse. As you can hear, I'm French. I will do it in English because I don't want to look like Jean-Claude Van Damme or something like that. Myself and Julien are working for a startup called TubeMogul in California. We went IPO last year, and we have a good story about how we scale our infrastructure and our operation team, and we will talk a little bit about how we use Puppet. Unfortunately, Julien won't be here. We had a very busy week, traveling and all that, so he's not feeling great. But I will try to do my best to present also the work he did. So who are we? We are TubeMogul, an enterprise software company for digital branding. What it means basically is that we are responsible for all the good ads you may see on internet, and mostly the video ad. We basically help brands to communicate their messaging better and more efficiently. There's a lot of video ad company, or what we call all those companies in the ad tech environment. You may know, I think in France it's the Criteo. So we have so we are part of this industry. What we do is about 27 billion video ad served last year. That's the official number. We are doing more than 30 billion ad auction a day. And ad auction is really the same as the stock exchange, if you will. We are dealing in real time with video ad auction. So for an example, if you're going on YouTube, you are looking for your video. Before that, you will have an ad. What's happened in real time is that Google is going to contact a bunch of partners and ask for if you have an ad to present to this user. We have to respond in less than 80 milliseconds, including network round trip, and we have to offer like the ad we want to display and at which price. So there is a real auction mechanism happening in real time. That's how all the ad industry is moving. It's starting to happen for display, it's happening for video, and that's the big things we are working on. And we start to do the same thing with what we call programmatic TV. We are serving about 5 petabytes of video ad directly from our infrastructure. There is a lot that is not served directly from our infrastructure. The big deal is really on the ad auction system. And we store about 1.1 exabyte of data. Myself and the team that work with me, we are the operation engineering team. We try to ensure the smooth day-to-day of the operation of the platform. We try to provide a cost-effective infrastructure. It's obviously not always easy. We are definitely using a cutting-edge infrastructure with new technology, trying to move with what makes sense and how we can develop our solution faster and better and scale it properly. The team is composed of site reliability engineers, system engineers, DBAs, and we currently manage over 2,500 servers, virtual and physical. We have multiple locations. It makes our infrastructure a little bit complex sometimes to manage. We have about 7 locations in public cloud, mostly AWS. It includes China. We also have on-premises location, and we are planning to have a few more coming up. We start to implement our private cloud solution with OpenStack. So we have to deal with even more complexity in our infrastructure. And we are definitely a technology hoarders. Because we have been around for some time, the company has been created in 2007. We have a lot of different technology. We have a lot of legacy infrastructures that we are progressively deprecating, and we are moving on with a new infrastructure that scale better to our business. We didn't do over 30 billion ad auction a day on the first day we started the company. It's obviously came over time. But so we have a lot of Java application running on our infrastructure. We definitely use different database, MySQL, Vertica. We have a lot of NoSQL solution. We have a big Hadoop stack. We have a lot of other things. And you can see that we end up having also like some Apache web server, some Tomcat web server, some JT embedded solution in our Java application. So a lot of things that seem like redundant. Part of it is getting deprecated, part of it is being like, I mean, you probably know how it goes when an infrastructure move. So how we get there and how we manage all this big infrastructure with a lot of different pieces. We definitely used Puppet. From 2008 to 2010, we were not managing that much. We didn't use Puppet. Most of it, I don't even think it was existing at this time. So we were basically using just SVN, bash scripting, and some like homemade template. It did work fine. 2010, we were managing about 250 instances. The business was a bit different. But we already started to feel the pain to manage that many servers, guarantee like the configuration of this instance, making sure we can reprovision them with a guaranteed state and things like that. So we started to look at configuration management system. 2011, we started with Puppet 0.25. We very quickly upgraded to 2.7, starting in July when it got released on some specific version of 2.7, I forgot which one. And by the end of the same year, we had like over 400 servers managed by two contributors, myself and another person, and we were fully on Puppet for those servers. In 2012, we were at 800 servers managed fully by Puppet, and when I say by Puppet, it's really the master, Puppet master approach, no masterless. We were 4 contributors, 2013 over 1,000 servers with 6 contributors. Last year we were at 1,500 servers managed by Puppet, and we started to implement workflow using Git, Gerrit and Jenkins, for a couple of reasons. The way we were using Puppet was not the most efficient. We were just moving the problem of how we were reprovisioning our servers and how we could guarantee the state of the server. Sometimes we end up with like some dirty if-else in like huge manifest and some node definitions that get like really confusing, and it came really hard to maintain, especially with more contributors. It was really the cause of a couple of outages. So we really chose to try to move to a point where we can really test our infrastructure and guarantee it in a better way and have like a standard software development practice. And by the end of the year, I mean, in December, we started to implement, to migrate to 3.7. We are far to be done, but we are hoping to get that done this year. So right now we are at over 2,000 servers managed by Puppet with 13 contributors. We still have a bunch of servers that are not managed by Puppet, but we use Puppet to build AMI or image that are used for like auto-scaling or some process that will auto-scale on Amazon, but on which we don't run any Puppet agent. So some stats about 2,000 node, 225 unique node definition, that's part of the pain. One Puppet master, and 112 Puppet modules that we manage. And the Puppet master is working fine. So where and how do we use Puppet? Virtual and physical server configuration, we are in master mode. When we build our AMI, we use Packer. If you don't know that, you should look at it. It's really an awesome tool. We use it in master mode also. For local development, we use Vagrant, and we also use master mode in this case. And for OpenStack provisioning, we just use masterless mode. Code review. That's something we wanted to do. The problem with code review is that when you start to do that, it's really easy for people to submit like a huge change log with like thousands of files change or whatever. There is no way you can do an efficient code review. And We didn't like that. We want to make sure someone else review what we are doing to prevent like mistake in production. We are moving really fast, and we don't want to limit to our ability to change production just to feel safe. If we win and if we grow in our business, it's because we are moving fast and we are not afraid to make change. But to do that, fine, we started to implement Gerrit. That's, I believe, an industry standard. It's used by Eclipse Foundation, by Google, by Chromium, OpenStack, Wikimedia, LibreOffice, Spotify, ClusterFS, I mean, a lot of people. What we like, it's allows us to do really fine-grained permission rules, so we can have people that will do that will be committers, some other people will be identified as just a reviewer, some will manage projects, so we have like more flexibility. Our engineering team is about 100 people right now. We'll probably double by the end of the year or next year. So we want to have enough flexibility on how we manage this access. We plug it to LDAP, make it much easier for us, and we can do code review per commit, and enforce like appropriate rule on that. We love the stream events of Gerrit. It allows us to plug it to a lot of different tools. We use Gitblit, and we integrated with Jenkins and Jira. We currently manage over 600 Git repository. And as you can see, our biggest contributor is actually Jenkins. And I will explain why. Gerrit in action. We actually really use it. All our team, even our UI developers, are using our Gerrit workflow. And they are a big supporter of code review. We enforce, I'm not sure if you can see that, but we enforce ticket numbers in all your commits, so it makes it really easy for us to link like any commit to any ticket. We use Jira for our ticketing system. But it's also with Jenkins integrated to all our workflow, we can reject and not validate any change on our infrastructure in our code on Puppet or whatever that is not linked to an identified task and something that need to happen in production. So we do continuous delivery with Jenkins. We have one job per module currently, one job for the manifest and IR data, one job for the Puppet file server, and one job to deploy. Globally, last year we did over 10,000 Puppet deployments in production. So yes, that's continuous delivery. We had about 8,500 production application deployment in the same time. So operation was really moving as fast as the software engineering team. Yeah, API. And sometimes we break stuff. We plugged our API solution to we use UBot. We have a UBot server running, which allow it to follow like all the change in Gerrit, follow Jenkins, and it can be pushed to a specific HipChat room. That allows us to quickly get notified when something changes or when something breaks. When we are working in production, there is something going on. It's really easy to just go in this room, see what are the latest change, and to react quickly. And I had to put that mini meme. I mean, in California they do that every time. So. Well, what's the vision? So, for the workflows that I will describe in a few minutes, the idea was really to follow a standard development lifecycle, having like repeatable and consistent server provisioning. We wanted to get to this stage of continuous delivery, so I want to explain how we get there, how we have been able to do like 10,000 deployment last year, and how we do like automated code review to improve code quality. And actually there is automated code review by Jenkins, and there is some manual step from another reviewer that need to happen. The goal was for us to really improve reliability of the platform and really enforce like better practice in general, including security. So the workflow, and I definitely want to give credit to Julien, who can't be here right now. He put a lot of work on this, and the biggest challenge I think for him was not necessarily the technical aspect, but the implementation and working with all the team to get proper adoption. In this DevOps buzzword, getting ops to be more dev is a challenge, and getting dev people getting more ops is also a challenge. So he deserves a lot of credit on that. So, as I discussed earlier, you can see that we used Vagrant, Docker, and things like that for our local environment, for testing our new modules, whatever we want to do. We push that to Gerrit. That's the current workflow that we are following. When it's pushed to Gerrit, there is Jenkins that will automatically review the code. What it includes is using YAML lint to validate that there is no error syntax in your YAML files, so including IR. Make sure that it runs Puppet lint and do follow like the proper standard. So you can't, we have a whole module that is a bit nasty, you have to clean things up so it doesn't force and motivate people to get the things right. We have some aspect check, so if you add aspect in your module, we will run that and try to validate everything. We don't enforce it every time right now, but if it's there, we will do it. And we obviously run the parser validate. So there is some basic step done by Jenkins before you can even like bother another person to review your change. Once it's done, once it's validated, a committer or reviewer can review that in Gerrit, put some comments, ask for some amendment or change, and depending on the feedback, at one point you get it right, it gets submitted, it gets automatically pulled by Jenkins and pushed on the master with a simple git pull and git submodule update. We use git submodule for all this Puppet module in multiple environments. And once it's pushed, all the agents are able to get the updated configuration and all the change. So that's the current workflow. So how does it work on the Puppet side? We have multiple environments. We have a development and production environment. We have a dedicated non-manifest. It's a bit of pain to maintain right now. We deployed modules by branch, so each module has a branch, a dev and prod, really simple at this time. And we store all the data in IR. We try to avoid params.pp class. We store everything in IR from modules, parameter, classes, everything, keys and password. We have a lot of things. And I will come back on the password things in a few minutes. So you can see the Puppet code hierarchy that we currently have on our 2.7 Puppet master. We have Git submodule for all the modules managed for each environment. This is where we have some challenge because Gerrit is using JGit, and that's not perfect. We have sometimes issues with that. IR configuration, very classic one. As you can see, we use YAML as a backend. We have just for encryption of password and all that. Because we are on multiple environment to manage our different location, we do have different hierarchies that consider this location, because we may not have the same configuration in Asia, in Europe, than we have in US. We may have different configuration if we are like on bare metal in-house, or if we are on Amazon. So we are able to do that by some fact that will be used to look at what is appropriate configuration. What it means is that our modules need to be able to be flexible enough to work in every environment. So it does force us to have like key parameters and configuration in IR, and have modules that are sync properly. Encrypt your secrets. So we use YAML. That's awesome. We never liked, all the team is mostly operation people, and we never liked seeing a password in plain text somewhere, neither on a post-it somewhere. So we really use that heavily. It allows us to, inside our YAML definition for IRA, to encrypt every password. It gives us a little bit more security feeling, but it also means that we can open our IRA configs to more people, not only like operation people. We can start to open to developers and get more contribution. Right now with 13 contributors, there is a lot of things we need to improve and not enough time, so we need to allow all our engineering team to start to contribute to our Puppet. We also encrypt like full files. Sometimes we want to encrypt like the full configuration file, or we want to push safely SSL certificate or something like that. So we stored it encrypted too, using a black box. It's really, really easy to use and set up, and it's pretty cool. So we leverage the file server, Puppet file server, to push that, and it uses a black box to encrypt or decrypt the files. So, going back to the workflow, there is some issue, as I discussed. The module part is painful. The JGit is not really ideal, having to create a new submodule every time we want to create a new module is adding some overhead that is preventing people to want to contribute, to create new things. So we start to see like dirty acts somewhere. Instead of having just a new clean module and deploy that. Having just two environments that are pretty much hard-coded on the server is a big limitation too. We just have dev or prod. It's not great if you just want to test a specific module, or if you want to deploy like in a new infrastructure that doesn't need all the modules, that need like just a specific set of configuration. So we find some limitation on that, and it's been confusing for the team frequently. So the bottleneck. Currently, we are a bottleneck because we are the only team members that can commit. There is few software engineers that can contribute because we know them. They have been trained and they are able to contribute to our code. But we are still not to a point where we are confident enough to get access to everyone, and it's definitely where we want to be. We know that we probably won't have more ops than software engineers, so we want to make sure that software engineers get access to the way we configure application on servers. The review and validation is done only by SRE at this point, so we are still being a bottleneck. And even if we are Jenkins automated, we want to get to a point where other people could do review, or there is like better process in place, so we are not relying only on like few individuals. Yes, Jenkins will verify the code currently, but it does not validate the commit. That's something we could change in the current workflow. It's more limitation. It's the same, actually. It's the way we work with our software engineering team, where I think we reached this limitation and we want to play safe. We have static Puppet environment. I already talked about that. All right. So, sorry. Oh yes, one big bottleneck is that all our infrastructure is currently using like hostname. And that seems obvious to have hostname for a server, a physical server, or maybe on Amazon, like you want to connect to a specific server. The problem is that we, a couple of years ago when we started to use Ivy Puppet, we use this idea of hostname, and we end up with a lot of manifest and not definition where it's if this hostname is doing this, or if this hostname, install that. This is unmanageable when you have like 2,000, 2,500 servers. This becomes a limitation when we want to create AMI, where there is no notion of hostname. We just want to configure these servers with a specific application, a specific state, but we don't care about the name. We really want to think about roles. And I think you know where I'm getting at. So we started to work on the new workflows. That's the one that we are building on top of 3.7. We are definitely moving to R10K. because we like the dynamic environments. We can remove our Git submodules dependencies. It's very easy to reproduce any environment that we have, or future ones that will come. We can use private and public Puppet Forge module. I mean, we can use private module and public Puppet Forge modules. In the previous workflow, we had to clone the repository, create a submodule, push that in Gerrit. That was making a big limitation. We don't have to do that anymore with this new workflow. And we can use branch and tags. It's a bit based on Puppet file too. So that's the R10K configuration. I won't go too much in details on that. Julien is the expert on this, so. The other big thing that we wanted to fix, so it's moving to a role and profile. Our existing workflow on based on Puppet Master 2.7 does allow us to use role and profile, but it doesn't enforce it. The new workflow we put in place does require you to do that. We don't allow you to have like hostname dependencies. You can't define a new node or something like that. You have to rely on the role and profile that you define your server or your instance. So the roles represent the business logic. It's a nice abstraction layer, and use profiles. It can use multiple profiles for implementation. Yes. On the profile, we remove like code duplication and I'm not sure what we mean on the last one. But you got it. The role and profile pattern is something that we start to move. We are trying to push our team to use it more. That's part of the challenge because we just had like a new workflow based on 2.7 last year, and we have to move on a new one. But the speed at which we scale is forcing us to do that because it's unmaintainable on the other side, on the other way, and we have to move to a role and profile. So we are starting to educate ourselves to that. The good thing is that it does not rely on hostname, so it's really a nodeless approach. We use fact a lot, and that's what they find. You can see in the code sample that we use this tag called ECTag TMRole. It doesn't have to be an EC2, so even on our bare metal, it has this fact. We'll probably clean that up. It's a bit confusing as it is. But we rely on just a fact to define the role. That forces us to have a cluster vision, so it's more the cattle versus the pets analogy, if you heard about that. All the EC2 tags are specified during provisioning. We retrieve the tags for AWS using the AWS API and the Ruby SDK. It allows us to have like every information, every tag information, but also EC2 specific information. And we do the same with OpenStack, we do the same with bare metal. And that allows us to have like a different hierarchy in our YAML configuration where we are really more focused on roles also on this part instead of having like hostname. If you saw on the previous slide when I show the hierarchy we currently have in 2.7 workflow, we do have like the option to have like hostname specific AIR configuration. We don't want that. We want to make sure that we force like on role. So it's really a culture change at some point. The good thing is that it allows us to have everyone that can, we can open our Puppet code more easily. I'm pretty sure we'll still do some training for some people, but we want to allow everyone to review change, not just SRE, and also for the validation, we can have SE and SRE still doing that. We really want to come to a point where anyone could, any key people, not just SE and SRE, could do validation. One thing that we want to do is especially for the dev. We don't want to become a bottleneck for dev environment. We want to leave the opportunity to our software engineering team to move very, very quickly in dev. So we want to implement a rule. It's not totally there yet. We are working on that. But the idea is to automatically validate and merge any code that goes to the dev environment and pass at least 80% of our test. So the idea is that if we have the feeling that you did something really clean and follow all our rules, we shouldn't prevent you to push to our dev or integration environment. Some other improvements that we are thinking of. We are thinking about doing acceptance testing with Packer and Docker. It's really more like on our Christmas list at this point, but we are thinking about it. We want to do a full test provisioning with server specs. That's something that is more likely to come soon. We are looking at PuppetDB to improve reporting. Right now we rely fully on our one monitoring infrastructure and reporting infrastructure. And oops, yeah. We may have a dedicated Puppet master per geolocation. Right now we have like one Puppet master for everything and everywhere. It has its challenge and limitation, and we are thinking about ways where we can just delegate that and remove the single point of failure that we have right now. And one cool thing is that in the next few days, we are going to start to contribute and open source some of the modules that we are doing. And we are using heavily, so we'll have one for Appetite, Blackbox, Code Deploy, Gore. Gore is awesome. It's a good traffic replay solution. We'll have one for Packer. TM-File is a solution that we use that allows us to access a file either from the Puppet file server or from S3. We use that heavily. We will have one for Storm and Kafka, which are like two big technologies that we start to use everywhere. And that's it. Any question? Yes.
Why are you using both Blackbox and YAML at the same time?
So,
why not choose one?
The big plus with YAML, they don't do totally the same thing, right? YAML allows us to encrypt just one parameter in IR, so we don't encrypt the full file, and we really use it for IR, while Blackbox will more use it for serving like a file that need to be encrypted in full. So like if we want to store SSL certificate somewhere, we'll just encrypt them safely, and that's what is stored. And it gets decrypted automatically. So it's more like for full file.
Yes, but you could put the file encrypted into a hierarchy value.
Yeah.
YAML itself. Why you don't want to?
So generally, the file we use for Blackbox, they are files that occasionally on operation or whatever, we may have like operation people who need to access them. And what's happened is that we have a list of admin for this different file. So it will give us a different flexibility on who can access those files, who can change them, and how we can push them. So it's not just like a shared key that will be used for EML or something like that. So we just found like convenience in both. We don't use them for the same things at the end. But they both do encrypt the documents. Yep.
How do you manage the secrets used to encrypt the documents?
That's a good question. Right now, we just, what it gives us, it's really the safety, or at least the feeling of safety, that only few people have access to the data. Our engineering team or anyone else doesn't necessarily have access to the master. So we restrict access to the keys, right? But for everything else, we are able to open more easily our Git repositories to more people without having the concern to have like really a root key somewhere. So it's really more to allow us to open to more people in our team, to the software engineering team, more than being like full security set, I guess. Yes?
How it was difficult to configure your Jenkins to check every commit you did?
That was very easy for me, because I just asked Julien to do it. But in reality, we leverage the stream event from Gerrit, and there is a plugin, so it's really easy to interact Jenkins and to get Jenkins to get a notification from Gerrit. It just stream from the stream event, it knows what's going on, and based on that, your job will just pick up and run the job.
It's very perfect. It's very perfect.
It's amazing. I mean, to use, even if there is bottleneck on the 2.7 workflow, it's really easy for us to push a change. In a couple of seconds, you have your change that is validated by Jenkins. If you did a good job, someone will do another validation, and it will go to production in a few seconds too. It really allows us to move really fast. I mean, that's really why we have been able to push like so many changes with just like 13 contributors last year. Other question? Yes?
How do you manage agent certificate signature in the cloud?
So, because we are hostname based on the 2.7 workflow, we basically have a certificate per hostname, and we leverage in our provisioning process. We have a call to the Puppet Master API to remove the certificate of a host that has been replaced and recreate one. So when we provisioning back the same hostname, it creates a new certificate. We don't like that because it means like for a cloud, it's not really a cloud approach, right? If we have hostname based, so we don't. We are trying to move away from that. For our AMI build process, we just have like a unique certificate for everything, and that's something we are trying to improve overall.
And you told us about YAML and black box.
Yeah.
But you also show you are doing classification based on unsecure facts. So once any node is compromised, it can request any clear text data. How do you manage that?
That's true. I think, I mean, it's a challenge for, I mean, there is two things. For the node approach where there is hostname, we don't have this problem because the certificate is unique to this node. On the new one, there is a reason why we haven't moved everything yet on 3.7, right? So there is things we want to do. There is things that it's really easy for us to do like the AMI build based on Puppet. So we use this role, we use all this, and we don't have to worry about like what the agent is going to run or things like that, because we don't have the agent everywhere in this case. But for the ones that will be like fully up, that's part of the thing we have to figure out and work on. Yes.
I'm running Puppet in enforcement every 30 minutes, like the default one.
No, we use we have a wrapper. We use it in a cron tab, so it allows us to collect some metrics and kill when there is one stack. It really came from the time where we were using like 0.25, and over time we just keep this wrapper around because we had a lot of issues before. I don't know if we will move away from that or not. We'd like to probably move away from this wrapper approach, but right now it's what we have.
So it means when you push a new modification, you get called automatically, or you want to control when you want to apply this?
No, so it will pull automatic. We run it like every hour, something like that, at random interval. So it will just pull, take the change at the time it runs. Generally, when we push system change, they don't have to be applied like to a specific time. If we have to do that, we'd rather to move on this infrastructure that is more like AMI based, and where we try to have a cloud approach. We'll just build a new cluster and switch our traffic to the new cluster and remove the other things, or replace the instance. There is different way where we want to go instead of just relying on having like, we will never be able to guarantee like 2,000 or 5,000 servers to run everything at the same time. Even with M collective or things like that, I mean, you will have some issue at one point. So we'd rather to try to take a different approach on this.
Yes. Answer again. What did you use to provisioning the VM from scratch? For not in AWS, but for OpenStack or something else. What did you use before or Puppet and some stuff?
Oh, before we use Puppet?
From scratch, yeah.
So you mean like 2008, 2010? So we were we were on SVN, and we had something really fun. It was an NFS mount point shared across all the servers with all our script in it, and some templating system. So we had like for example, our Hadoop cluster had like a config file with like some variable in it, and we were like processing that and applying. So it was like some kind of configuration management based on Bash and text template. It was working okay, but all the NFS thing was just a nightmare on all this.
And now, you of course use the cloud, but physical server, but you, I think you use OpenStack.
Yes, we start to deploy to OpenStack. Yeah.
And VMware too?
Sorry?
VMware? So
No, we use KVM.
KVM. So what did you use to create your first VM?
Okay, so that's what we do on OpenStack. We use a masterless puppet. So in this case, it's just like the initial base bare metal provisioning. We just get the module that we need to do the initial deployment, and we get our OpenStack infrastructure setup. And the VM use a master approach, but the bare metal does not. For the bare metal, we have the classic like PXE, and we get the provisioning, and it get.
It's by who it's managed.
Yep.
But by what?
Yeah. So we just pulled like we know that we just have like 3 or 4 specific modules that we need to apply and configure the servers, because our goal is to have OpenStack running, nothing else, right? So it's what we're doing. Yes.
On your developer workstation, there was Vagrant and Docker. Is that too far away from like the answers you get from Amazon or you optimize the project? There are challenges to manage the differences between.
So we use a packer to build our image, and it allows to have some consistency between like Vagrant, between EC2 or OpenStack. That's what we are trying to use a lot. There will be differences if it's not managed that way, but we have the same OS version everywhere.
So you're using the same packer configuration, but different outputs for like background proxies?
Yes.
From you are sysadmin, right?
Sorry?
You are sysadmin, right?
Yes, I'm trying to sometimes.
From sysadmin perspective, how did you know how to use and configure Jenkins? Did you get some help from some developers or something?
For me, it was really easy. Same. I just asked Julien to do it. That solves the problem. But it's really not that complicated to set up. It's some Java things you run, but we use a pipeline module that help a little bit, and you can do some Groovy to define all your workflow. So it's more like some development. What we are trying to get at nowadays is trying to give the possibility to every developers to manage this workflow, because it's more like development. You code your workflow, and we are opening that to our developers, because we can manage both for Jenkins, for Git and Puppet infrastructure, but for developers, if they have like specific requirements on how they want to test or change or deploy their application, it's become a bit of a pain for us. So we are just giving them access to the Git repository where the workflow is defined, and Jenkins has a job that just pulls that and can update itself all the workflow definition. So there is some very good documentation online, and whatever workflow you implement, you will have to spend some time on it. We had some, it did take some effort to get there, but now we have something good.
You choose Jenkins because you develop Java code, right?
No, I think it's more because it seems like the standard at the time when we pick it up. We were already using Jenkins in 2010 to just test application, pure like continuous integration. But as we wanted to move to a continuous delivery, we just chose to leverage what we had and what was in the infrastructure.
And you want to keep it?
Currently it works great. I don't think there is well, if all our code was like fully open source and all that, I would do Travis, definitely. is trying to get Travis on private infrastructure, I will probably need some help because I think they have like 16 different pieces, and we look at that. We like the approach and the way you can define things, but it's. I don't think it's ready for us, and right now we have something that is working great, so I don't think we'll change.